Good day, everyone. We have another exciting episode of Unscripted Coding ahead for you. We're going to be playing around with Microsoft Edge and polishing off one of our existing videos. You see, I am a huge fan of Microsoft Edge, and we've done a couple of videos already taking advantage of their Read Aloud feature. It is a text-to-speech feature which converts text to speech. It reads aloud web pages for you so that you can listen to pretty realistic sounding AI voices. That way you don't have to have your eyes glued to the screen, and we've taken advantage of it over and over, turning them into audio files, highlighting text, just looking at how read aloud is really used. And so we have an existing project already, and what I want to do is polish it up. Why, you might ask? Well, every now and then you get updates, you get new features that make you revisit an older project because there's new utility, new variations, new use for it. And Microsoft Edge Android had one of these major updates a month and a half ago. You see right here, read aloud in the background. It's a game changer. Now we can argue, and I really strongly believe it should have came out day one, but it's here now. That's the important part. What happened previously was that I would go out for a jog, and Microsoft Edge on Android has to keep the screen on. You have to hold on to your phone. You don't want to touch the screen, or else it'll stop. If you shut off your screen, it stops. Read aloud in the background allows you to shut off the screen or move to another app. Naturally, that makes this read aloud so much more useful. We can shut off the screen, go out for a jog, start cooking dinner, whatever it may be. And how you can do this is you just go on Edge, //flags. And you got to enable the read aloud background play. Restart the browser and you're ready to go. Now I'm on a desktop browser, so these are not available. But if you search read aloud, you'll be able to find it, enable it, and have it running. Now, of course, our project isn't to click a flag. What we want to do is take advantage of what's out there and really make it into a tool that I can use. I've explained this story before, but basically, I'm not listening to funny Reddit threads. I'm not listening to short news articles. Oftentimes, I put up and convert some of my PDF files, some of the books I'm reading on EPUB into HTML, throw them up on my private website, and I can start listening to these. This is a privacy regulation book, chapter 12, and it's a long document, lots of dense text. It's not reading a novel. So, naturally, if you're like me, you need to take notes. You want to revisit it. You want to be able to see what was important. And how we've done that previously is we put a bit of JavaScript code right at the bottom. And what we can do here is we're going to read aloud, and we can shout out, highlight, or take a note, and it's going to keep that section highlighted. Let me demonstrate.
This chapter provides an introduction to workplace privacy with a focus on the sources of law that apply to private sector employment in the United States. It examines privacy issues before, during, and after.
As you can see, it is listening to my voice, and when I say highlight or take notes, actually make any sort of loud noise, it's going to flash it green. This is useful because at the end of the run, I will be able to come back and just scroll through and see all the highlights. There's also a bit of code in our previous project where it's keeping track of all of the text that has been highlighted. What you can do then is spit it all out. Have console log all of the text, and you can read it down the list. Really highlighting without a pen and paper, without note-taking software. You're just running an audiobook, you're out for a jog, and by the end of it, you can see where you've highlighted on that text. Background play for read aloud changes all of that. That makes it much easier, much more likely for me to do. And what I want to do is really hone this down, make it usable, make it simpler to use. So one of the first things I note is that I am using jQuery. Really, there's no need for it, but that adds the need to add the jQuery script. It's just an extra piece that makes it more difficult. So what I want to do is remove that dependency. I want to clarify some of this. I might even just filter out some of the code so that it's easier to port over. And I want to see how I can bring this to other files so that I don't have to create my own HTMLs, log it on my own web server, but actually use it in other contexts like other people's blogs, newspapers, and so on. So I am going to stop here, and we're going to see how we can polish this off. I don't think it's going to take a very long time. Okay, so what have we done so far? Really, just a couple simple things. First off, we have two global variables now. Noise threshold is how much noise you need to make. And what I noticed about this microphone detection system is it does differ. If we run this on my phone as opposed to running it on a desktop, the threshold does matter. It isn't the same voice. They pick up a different amount of noise, so you might want to have that up front. And if you ever get a UI, you might want to move it a bit further. Look back distance is an interesting one as well. If you look at this array, we printed out what is a saved text list. You can see that there is 3 lookbacks. So this is what's being highlighted. Privacy in the United States, federal laws apply in specific, I don't know what else. But if we look back to why I said highlight, you'll see the previous sentence and you get the whole context. Depending on your phone size, though, Edge might highlight something like 4 or 5 words, all the way to 2 or 3 sentences if you have a whole desktop experience, small fonts. They're just looking for a good, solid, horizontal chunk, depending on your font size. The other thing is, it does depend. If I'm a person that's pretty slow about saying highlight, I might want to pick up something further back because it takes a moment for my brain to process. Alternatively, you also have just what kind of text you're reading. If I'm reading something fairly light, doesn't really matter. If I'm reading really dense legal documents, I might want to highlight the whole paragraph. So, as a result, you might want to fiddle with this look back distance. As you go down the list, we remove that jQuery dependency, and you'll have seen that I struggled with Copilot a little bit. Normally, GitHub Copilot, this AI auto completion tool, is amazing. you would just type a comment, something like convert the above from jQuery to plain JS, and it'll try and figure things out one at a time. But I think it really struggled with my code. There were too many loops happening in this one. It wasn't so bad here, but further down over here, we were trying to do a wrapper, and this is a more difficult piece of code to translate from jQuery to JavaScript because there's no easy mechanism to do the same thing in JavaScript. So Copilot struggled and gave half an answer, and I decided to just write it off on my own. There's just a bit of cleaning here, and what's really nice is that I can copy and paste this and run it in the console. So apnews, take away this, apnews.com, and let's look at something a little less depressing. No good news today. Let's see climate activist. Okay. I am able to pull up developer tools and just paste this into the text. Of course, there's an error in my code here. What is this? Parent element. 1 second here. Let's try this again. Here we go. Okay, so AP News is asking, it did ask me for permission over here to pick up my voice, and if we read aloud,
cars and red double.
I'm just going to turn down the volume. Highlight. We can move this along fairly easily. So this works on anything if I post this up on... Where's that pause button? Sorry. This will work on anything as long as I have a console, but on Android devices, you don't get a lot of console. You don't get a developer console. And it kind of... It irks me because Microsoft Edge Android doesn't have great support for bookmarklets and has no support for extensions. I want to build an extension one of these days to take advantage of this and to have a place for you to spit out all your text and files to look at it, but it's just not present on Android yet. But bookmarklets work sometime. And if you just throw this code into a bookmarklet maker online, say this one right here, and generate a bookmarklet, you can just run the code and go anywhere, even on Android. And what I found is that for whatever reason, it sometimes works and it sometimes doesn't. And right now, as I'm recording this video, it doesn't work. So I'm in this weird position where, yeah, I know that it works some of the time and I can't demonstrate it. Nevertheless, I'm just a little irked because I thought I had this all planned out ready to go, but Microsoft Edge just isn't the complete package Chromium is yet. And it's weird because they have such a good text-to-speech engine. You want to take advantage of that. So for now, I'm still going to be posting this up on my private website, all the files in there and attaching it on there. I also have a bookmarklet on the side in my own favorites bar. You just drag this bookmarklet into your favorites bar and it is ready to go. It sometimes works, it sometimes doesn't. I just don't know what to tell you about that. So you have two mechanisms. One of these days, I'm going to be putting it elsewhere. But I'm going to be throwing this on GitHub so you guys can throw this into a console if you're listening to Microsoft Edge through your browser. I think that's really been useful to me personally. And I'd love to see more people use it as well. And I polish it up even more as Microsoft Edge matures and becomes a better ecosystem for this. Anyways, I hope you guys had fun. I honestly thought I'd do a little bit more work, but you can see how when you revisit code after a while, keeping it readable and organized is really good, but even then, there's always room for a little bit of improvement. So, we'll see you guys in the future next week. I hope you enjoyed this video. If not, give me a comment. If you liked them, thumbs up, subscribe. Thanks for watching. See you guys next week.